The Book of Leviticus, Chapter 14, from the Sunday School Bible, 1445 BC. Copyright, The Sunday School Bible, LLC, 2025. All rights reserved. Law of leprosy, skin diseases on people, continued. The Lord said to Moses, "This will be the law of the leper, the person with a skin disease. In the day of a person's cleansing from their skin disease, they will be brought to the priest for examination. The priest will go outside the camp to meet the person and examine the person. If the priest confirms that the person's skin disease has been healed, the priest will command that the following items are taken for the person who is to be cleansed: 2 living and clean birds, 1 piece of cedar wood, 1 piece of scarlet thread, and 1 hyssop. The priest will command that one of the birds is killed in a clay pot over running water. The priest will dip the following in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water: the living bird, the piece of cedar wood, the piece of scarlet thread, and the hyssop. The priest will sprinkle the blood on the person to be cleansed from the skin disease 7 times. The priest will pronounce the person clean and will let the living bird loose into the open field. The person who is to be cleansed will wash their clothes, shave off all their hair, and wash themselves in water, so that they may be clean. After the person has completed this, they will come into the camp and wait outside their tent for 7 days. But on the 7th day, the person will shave all the hair off their head, beard, and eyebrows. The person will wash their clothes, wash their flesh in water, and then they will be clean. On the 8th day, the person will take 2 lambs without blemish and 1 ewe lamb of the first year without blemish, 6 quarts of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat or grain offering, and 1 cup of oil. The priest who makes the person clean will present the person who is to be clean and those things before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. The priest will take 1 male lamb and present it as a trespass or guilt offering. Then the priest will take the same lamb and 1/3 quart of olive oil and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. The priest will kill the lamb in the holy place, where he kills the sin offering and the burnt offering, because as the sin offering is the priest's, so is the trespass offering. It is most holy. The priest will take some of the blood from the trespass or guilt offering and put it on the following areas of the person who is to be cleansed: on the tip of the right ear, on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of the right foot. The priest will take some of the 1/3 quart of oil and pour the oil into the palm of his own left hand. The priest will then dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand and sprinkle the oil with his finger 7 times before the Lord. And for the rest of the oil that is in the priest's left hand, the priest will, on the person being cleansed, put the oil over the blood from the trespass or guilt offering, which was on the tip of the person's right ear, on the thumb of the person's right hand, and on the big toe of the person's right foot. The priest will pour the remnant of the oil that is in his left hand on the head of the person being cleansed. The priest will make an atonement for the person before the Lord. The priest will offer the sin offering and make an atonement for the person being cleansed from his uncleanliness. Afterward, the priest will kill the burnt offering. The priest will offer the burnt offering and offer the meat or grain offering on the altar. The priest will make an atonement for the person being cleansed, and the person will be clean. Ritual for the poor. The Lord continued speaking to Moses. If the person is poor and cannot afford it, then the person will take one lamb for a trespass or guilt offering, to be waived, to make an atonement for themselves, and 2 quarts of fine flour, mingled with oil, for a meat or grain offering, and 1/3 quart of oil, 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, such as they are able to obtain, and 1 turtle dove or pigeon will be for the sin offering, and the other turtle dove or pigeon will be for a burnt offering. The person will bring these things on the 8th day to the priest at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, before the Lord, for their cleansing. The priest will take the lamb of the trespass or guilt offering, and the 1/3 quart of oil, and wave both of them for a wave offering before the Lord. Then the priest will kill the lamb of the trespass or guilt offering. The priest will take some of the blood of the trespass or guilt offering, and will put it on the tip of the right ear of the person being cleansed, put it on the thumb of the person's right hand, and put it on the big toe of the person's right foot. The priest will pour oil into the palm of his own left hand. The priest will sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. The priest will put the oil that is in his left hand over the blood in the following areas of the trespass or guilt offering: on the tip of the right ear of the person being cleansed, on the thumb of the person's right hand, and on the great toe of the person's right foot. The priest will put the rest of the oil that is in his left hand on the head of the person being cleansed, to make an atonement for the person before the Lord. The person being cleansed will offer 1 of the turtle doves or young pigeons, whichever the person can obtain, 1 for a sin offering, and 1 for a burnt offering, with the meat or grain offering. The priest will make an atonement for the person being cleansed before the Lord. This is the law of the person in whom had a skin disease, but who is not able to afford the items required for their cleansing. Treating contaminated houses. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "When you come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy, mold or mildew, in a house of the land of your possession, he that owns the house will come and tell the priests, saying, 'It seems to me there is mold or mildew in the house.' Then the priest will command that they empty the house before the priest enters it to inspect the plague. In this way, the items that were in the house are not declared unclean. Afterwards, the priest will go in to inspect the house. The priest will examine the mold or mildew, And if the plague is in the walls of the house with greenish or reddish sunken spots, and which appear to go deeper than the wall's surface, then the priest will depart the house from the front door and quarantine the house for 7 days. The priest will come again on the 7th day and will re-examine the house. If the plague has spread in the house. The Lord continued speaking to Moses and Aaron. If the priest discovers that the mold or mildew has spread in the walls of the house, then the priest will command that they take away the stones where the mold or mildew resides, and they will cast the stones into an unclean place outside the city. The priest will cause the walls of the house to be scraped thoroughly, and they will pour out the dust from the scrapings outside the city into an unclean place. They will take other stones and put them in the place of the stones they took away. They will use new mortar and plaster on the house. If the mold or mildew returns and spreads throughout the house after taking away the stones, and after scraping the house, and after replastering, then the priest will come and re-examine the house. If the priest determines that the plague has spread in the house, then it is a spreading of mold or mildew in the house, and it is unclean. The owner of the house must break down the house, its stones, its timber, and all the mortar of the house. The owner will carry those items outside the city to an unclean place. Moreover, any person who enters the house while the house is quarantined will be unclean until evening. Any person who sleeps in the house will wash their clothes. Any person who eats in the house will wash their clothes. If the plague has not spread in the house. The Lord continued speaking to Moses and Aaron. If the priest enters the house to examine it and finds that the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest will pronounce the house clean, because the mold and mildew is healed. The priest will take the following to cleanse the house: 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet thread, and hyssop. The priest will kill one of the birds in a clay pot over running water. The priest will dip the following items in the blood of the slain bird and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times: the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet thread, and the one living bird. The priest will cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, the running water, the living bird, the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet thread. But the priest will release the living bird out of the city and into the open field, and make an atonement for the house. Then the house will be clean. Summary. The Lord continued speaking to Moses and Aaron. This is the law for every kind of plague: diseases on the skin, scaly patches or hair loss on the scalp or beard, fungus, mold, or mildew on a garment, mold or mildew in a house, swelling on the skin, a scab on the skin, and a bright spot on the skin. This law is to teach you when something is unclean and when something is clean. This is the law of leprosy.